And congressional lawmakers spent hours asking UFO experts about the government and unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UFOs. One whistleblower saying Wednesday was a historic day in the search for transparency. Luis Elizondo says UAPs are real and part of a secret arms race. Joining me now, I have Micah Hanks, host of the Micah Hanks program and co-founder of the Debrief, a news website. Micah, good morning to you. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning, Markie.
So we all went into yesterday, right, saying, okay, give us something to work with here. Any big bombshells or nuggets that really stood out to you?
Well, certainly a lot of things that will be of interest to people over the next 4 years, but I think there are a lot of us who really watch the UAP subject who are still wanting more. We have a lot of former officials who have, gone on the record under oath and said, listen, there's more to what the U.S. government knows about UAP than what Congress is being told and what the American people are being told. Unfortunately, right now, most of what we are hearing is information pertaining to alleged secret programs, whistleblower allegations. And again, what I think many people want is more confirmed information, more individuals on the record. A lot of this coming secondhand to journalists, which again, unfortunately, given the climate and the nature of the subject, that's understandable to an extent. But again, I think a lot of people came away from yesterday's hearing saying we'd like to see a little more tangible evidence.
Yes. Is it fair to say you walked away dissatisfied?
Well, on the one hand, there was some dissatisfaction, but I think that there are also a lot of interesting things that came out of the hearing yesterday. For instance, we had a former official, Tim Gallaudet, saying that he had met with the DOD's current UAP investigative group, AARO, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And he described that meeting as being almost more like what he characterized, his own terms here, as an influence operation. He said that essentially they tried to convince him that UAP cases that he was aware of and that other former officials had experienced might involve U.S. technologies and things along these lines. And so really, I think that as far as dissatisfaction, some of these officials were the ones who came away saying we're extremely dissatisfied with the level of scrutiny being placed on this by the government and also what we are being told.
I know that Congresswoman Mace said that the hearing was a success. I wanted to play a bit of sound from her because she raised some serious questions with former Pentagon official Lou Elizondo during the hearing. Take a quick listen.
Has the government conducted secret UAP crash retrieval programs, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, were they designed to identify and reverse engineer alien craft, yes or no?
Yes.
Why are people, anytime they ask, why are they always thwarted? Why are they always judged? Why is they always have misinformation spread? Why is there always retribution? Why is it always met with an ear? What's the why? If it doesn't exist, why is it such a problem?
Yeah, Congresswoman Mace hopes that this will help more whistleblowers come forward. But Micah, what's it going to take to see that evidence at some point to back up these claims?
Well, according to the former lawmakers, including Mr. Luis Elizondo, who you played in the clip there, it's going to take more people coming forward and more people being willing to talk about this. But one of the issues that those former officials were discussing during this session yesterday had been the prevailing stigma. And this had been something that also Mike Gold, one of the witnesses providing testimony there, formerly with NASA, Mike Gold really emphasized this as having been part of the study group that had been looking into UAP within NASA. He said without this, or rather with this stigma, it even impeded his study group's ability to be able to look at this. Luis Elizondo and others are saying, look, we've come forward. We need others to come forward and to really go on the record and say there is a problem here. Government transparency is a real issue. We need them to be more forthcoming with both Congress and the American people.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people are wondering, will a new Trump administration kind of change the game when it comes to transparency on this at all? We'll just wait and see. Micah Hanks, thanks so much for your time this morning. Appreciate your expertise.
Thank you, Markie.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.